Alright, cool. That was rolling now.
Wait, I want to make sure you're in focus.
I haven't moved.
Yeah, you're good. I just wanted to make sure. I was
Yeah.
afraid of that for some reason.
No, you can.
Cool. Okay.
Big clamp.
Ow.
All right. This is episode 2. Sorry we're wearing the same thing. I refuse to change clothes, and I honestly don't want to. This is going to be a 20-minute review of a movie that at first I was conflicted.
How so?
When I first saw this, I didn't know what to think of it.
Okay. Well, no spoilers for the first,
No,
We'll
of
give you
course.
guys 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. At first, I didn't know what to think of it. It was semi-confusing, but the more I talked about it and the more I thought of it, the more I grow to love it.
Same.
And this movie is The Lighthouse.
Yeah, dude. Blue.
Look. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa. Freddie.
Freddie,
Yeah.
what do you think of The Lighthouse? Alan, hyper zoom on the crappy camera.
With the bat.
Make it really pixelated. And do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
No, so, The Lighthouse. How do we start?
The main thing I would start off with as for a general audience is that if you can see this movie, I would recommend you give it a shot if you want something completely different than anything you've seen, but be prepared for the fact that it's just so wild I don't know where to start. I really don't.
I would say be prepared for a movie that I don't want to say that it's out of its norm. It's out of the norms when it comes about its storytelling and narrative. But it's not in its execution.
Yes,
where
yeah.
the movie is shot in a very old school style way, where I want to say that they use nothing but natural light, because the director is known, because he directed The Witch, is known for using nothing but natural light, like the moonlight, candlelight, stuff like that.
It's crazy.
So be prepared for that. Very old school. Also in the way that it's not shot, but its format. It has that square format ratio to it. A lot of the settings, a lot of the shots of the lighthouse and the waves and whatnot. Those are those are little tiny little replicas.
They have to be miniatures.
Those are miniatures.
I swear. Or if they're not good, I don't know how they got those shots.
They're 100% miniatures.
But I mean, the thing that's great about it for some, because there are some at different distances.
Yeah.
But the ones that are so far away, you're I literally don't know how they would have gotten that shot. It looks so good.
They made a tiny little lighthouse.
Yeah.
And
it's a piece of rice. It's great.
They made a tiny little lighthouse. They grabbed, I want to say, possibly a 20mm lens or lower.
Yeah.
And adjusted the lens warp via post. And have it at a very shallow depth of field.
That makes sense.
I want to say that's how I did it.
Sure.
Add water splashing here and there, and then add some mist. Either in camera or post, and you got that. But the fact is that the director stuck to his guns and says, I want to make this as old school as possible, all the way to the credits.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go on. I know this is your favorite.
So I love this thing where how can I say this? In a lot of movies, unfortunately, the vision of the director is gone as soon as credits roll, or as soon as they fade to black.
Really? How so?
Because the credits are always formatted in a way where this is the industry standard or whatever. Yeah, you can argue that for example, I want to say Guardians of the Galaxy, their credits segment, they have nice music and the people playing or whatever. But this one stuck to its just old school grimy ways where the cast weren't the cast, they were the players, and old school music with it. Everything was jittery.
Sea shanties.
Yeah, it
so
good. The text was jittery, it was in a natural film. And I was what a nice attention to detail.
Yeah.
And small stuff like that get to me, because that's something that I would like to implement a lot of the times. But we haven't even talked about the story yet.
Which, yeah, I mean, the thing that's just so great about it, and like we were talking about that, it like kind of defies genre in a little bit, is that like it's completely, if you just want to go watch two people act in a way that's like beyond anything, this is the movie that like you can and I mean, like, everybody remembers Robert Pattinson as like Twilight guy, and everybody remembers Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, but like I legitimately just they took over as like these different characters.
They were lost in their roles.
I don't know if it was the beard and the mustache, but like I couldn't see anything else but these characters in this.
Robert Pattinson in a mustache looks cool.
Yeah, he looks. I mean, he looks great.
He has that old school look.
He did, yeah.
Willem Dafoe, man.
Oh my god.
Willem Dafoe was excellent in this movie.
I literally had like. It's speechless.
Yeah.
That like the thing that I love about it, and I think we talked about this before, is just the fact that like his acting was so, because he's playing a character that tells stories. So if you're like kind of looking at it from the outside, you might think like, oh, he's acting kind of weird, that like he doesn't know his lines. No, it's the character he's playing that's making up a story while he's speaking. Yeah. So you have those moments where he kind of like takes some, he'll say something and slightly stutter, but it's him in his head still making the story. He has lines, but he's a
good storyteller, but not a good narrator. Which is like, he has a story in his head, he just doesn't know how to put it to words.
He's filling in the gaps
because he's making it up as he goes, clearly making it up. But so and you learn that later throughout the movie. But the thing is that Willem Dafoe just somehow melts into this character.
He really does,
and just starts off in this way where, like, I think you gave it a nice description where the characters were new generation versus old generation.
Yeah,
which I can see that
definitely.
And the more I think of it, the more I see it. But the fact still stands that, well, you have two really contrasted characters.
Yeah.
You have the definition of a sea dog.
Yeah.
Like an old salty sea dog, right?
It's so good. And that he literally says, it's like, you're like a parody. And it's so,
he calls him a parody.
It's such a good line. Like the whole,
and like,
because it's true, but like that's a person.
Yeah.
Like,
and Robert Pattinson, who plays like, a younger generation, and I want to say almost his first time out in sea.
Yeah.
He used to like cut down trees before that, and clearly Robert Pattinson is like hiding something from Willem Dafoe, and Willem Dafoe
is hiding something from him too.
Hiding something from him, and the ultimate goal is for Robert Pattinson is like, what's up with this lighthouse? What's in the lighthouse? I want to see what's in the lighthouse. What's emitting the light? Stuff like that. And we later get to know, but the journey and narrative that we go through with these characters is. I thought people were going to start walking away from the movie because of how slow it was.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I just enjoy that so much that just take your time, Let me settle.
If you want to start a movie tense, start it with a foghorn every millisecond.
Oh my god! Yeah.
I literally had a moment where I was just like, is it going to be like this the whole movie? Because if it is, this is insane. Like in a cool way. That like as soon as you see the boat, like there's this foghorn going off every couple seconds or like whatever, and then it just keeps going throughout their entire like beginning, and it builds this tension in your heart where like nothing's happened. They're getting to this lighthouse. That's it. And it's so
it's a constant reminder of where you are, and who you're with.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And first of all, just the premise alone is, like I said, two different generations locked in this island with no way out.
Yeah,
literally no way out.
Doing their job. Yeah.
Doing one job, and one of them, clearly the older generation, is he's the more responsible one, so he takes care of the bigger job which is at night he has to look out through the lighthouse. Yeah. But when you look after a lighthouse, the only thing you're doing there is like sitting in that room, making sure that it's still lit.
Yeah, exactly.
While Robert Pattinson's character at day has to do everything else. Like reshingling a roof that you're not even going to stay there long enough to even like appreciate.
Yeah, there's like a slight leak, and he's just like, you got to go reshingle the roof.
We got to reshingle all these roofs.
And man, good on him. And I swear, the director, like, he really wants it to be real, because not only were there I'm pretty sure there was absolutely no CGI or VFX whatsoever. It was all practical effects in any way. And that, like, every single thing that Robert Pattinson does looks like backbreaking labor. Like, he's legitimately doing it. And it's a complete period piece. Like, it all just looks like you're out there and he just has wood and has to reshingle a roof.
Exactly.
Oh my god, and he's like pulling stuff out.
Yeah, he has to move like heavy loads up and down this stinking island.
Yeah, oh my god.
And just the misery, because like it's super relatable. Because we've all been in that position where it's like, I'm the grunt.
Yeah.
And here I am doing all these grunty things, and like, what makes them so good? What
exactly.
makes it, and it just feeds off of that. Where, how can I say this? Give me a moment.
Well, for me, just the fact that, like, it is the different generational gap is about that, like, Willem Dafoe gets to go kind of like, you know, have the easy job, but more or less because he said, like, I've been a wiki my whole life, because he's done all the stuff that, like, Robert Pattinson's done. He's just like, I've paid my dues. I'm here. This is how this works. While, like, modern generation is, like, legitimately now are like, I don't that's a bad system. This is, like, ultimately not great. That if you have a skill set, you should be where whatever, and that people that want to do certain things should be able to do certain things, but that doesn't always work. That's not like in an ideal society, that's great. That's not always how it's going to work out. So Willem Dafoe's just like, this is how it is. Don't give me guff about it. Like, this is just the system.
The entire movie is Okay Boomer.
Yeah,
the movie.
It
almost
really is. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's Okay Boomer, but without a choice.
Yeah, which, like, it came out right bufore that meme hit.
Yeah,
like, hard.
Its peak.
Yeah.
And so going back to what I was saying, is as a grunt, you want to understand, like, what makes everything so great, like what makes you so great, and all this other stuff. But there's nothing worse than being a grunt to a really awful leader.
Yeah.
And have that leader pretend that he's doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, like he's doing a great job.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm like, this is just how we did it. It's like, yeah, sure, but we're not there anymore. You know, can we, like, change it a little bit of something? And, like, Robert Pattinson mentions that, it's like, I would like some help, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, that is your duty. What? Well,
that's not my job description.
And he's like, well, that's not quite fair now, is it? I have to stay up all night and I cook dinner. Yeah. Meanwhile, you're breaking your bag, like reshingling roofs, repainting the lighthouse.
Dude, that was a great scene.
And it's nothing but watching a man not only struggle for being lonely, struggling with a little bit of his past, which we'll get onto later, but also knowing that every day he has to wake up to the same thing.
Yeah.
For 4 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It's just the tensions ramp up as soon as their foot touches the island.
Yeah.
And
it's so good. I think we're good to go into some spoilers right now.
Okay, good for some spoilers. All right, spoiler alert.
Spoilers. If you don't want the movie spoiled for you, please stop now. Please go see it. Like,
just go watch it. Download the AMC app. It's basically free movie tickets.
The AMC A-List or
the
what?
AMC A-List app, where you pay 25 buckaroos a month and you get to see whatever movie 3 times a week. No human being goes to movies every single day. If you do, you don't have a job and you're taking advantage of the system or something like that. But regardless, I think it's hyper worth it. And this is how I saw this movie. Thank you, AMC. We're not sponsored. Sponsor us.
I mean, yeah, please. I don't have an A-List. I need to get it.
Bills to pay.
But, like, oh my god, it's really great, and, like, it's crazy. Just go in like that. I couldn't recommend it to everybody, but if you want to see something that's just so weird and different in a interesting way,
in a good way. I would say in a good way.
Yeah, but
because it doesn't start off like that. It doesn't start off like that. It just slowly but surely gets there.
Psychological horror. That's the name of it. So understand that, like, I wouldn't say there's any crazy horrific elements. There's some messed up stuff, but, like, you'll enjoy it if you like.
There's some depictions that can be considered horrific and or disturbing.
Yes.
But that just goes with the whole David Lynch vibe that this movie gives you. Also, I want to make a huge comparison to this movie to It Comes at Night.
I still need to see that.
It Comes at Night is a great film. It's a decent film. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It's decent. It's really well made.
For its budget, very good.
For its budget, really well made. But the thing with It Comes at Night is that every night this kid has a dream, and that dream is awful.
Oh my god.
And that's technically what comes at night is all these awful depictions. And at the end,
don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. We're already spoiling one movie. Let's not do two.
Regardless, all of that is like, well, with Robert Pattinson's character, every time he goes to sleep, you know, he sneaks away from, you know, sleeping and has to relieve himself as a man. Mm-hmm. He has to do some male relief. And that's when we start seeing him we start noticing that he sees Willem Dafoe's character enjoying the lighthouse per se. And from there, that's when it strikes that jealousy. Where like every day I'm breaking my back, dealing with this guy, while he just gets to go up in the lighthouse and dance naked.
Yeah.
What?
It's like mommy and daddy get to stay up late. Why can't I stay up late?
Exactly.
Kind of thing, straight up.
Yeah, exactly. And it just doesn't help that Willem Dafoe is such a backwards, crooked man. Like, seriously. Like, you can't just do something awful and make this person break his ass. And you be like, the lobster is good, isn't it, boy? And like, and just be like, what, dude?
That's quote. That like, you like my lobster? Say it. It's so good, and he's so upset about it. Yeah. Like legitimately,
he's legitimately upset.
It's such a good, like that whole scene is probably my favorite. The fact that he wants to have like he wants to do things to a steak, and then talks about meals, and then Willem Dafoe gives like a 2-minute long speech about how this character Winslow / Tommy will evaporate into the sea because he cursed his lobster.
It's not. There's layers to that though.
Yeah.
There's layers. First of all, as a sea captain, my father's a sea captain.
Ooh.
He is.
Captain Daniels.
Robert, Mr. Captain Daniels, you're awesome. As a captain, he is like, he's borderline Gordon Ramsay when it comes about cooking. So his seafood is baller.
Really?
He's been out in sea for like over 30 years. Like he must know what he's doing, right?
Yeah, of course.
So as someone whose specialty is like, I can cook the best lobster you ever seen, me boy.
That's fair.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
How offended would you be if the person you've been feeding would say, I just want a steak? You know? Also, that is the first moment of truth that we see in that movie.
That's fair.
Where he says, like, honestly, your food kind of sucks and I just want a steak. And that this is how fragile Willem Dafoe's character is. He can't handle that.
Yeah, we can't
Why
handle
did he
any
spill
truth.
His beans?
Why'd you spill the beans?
Why'd he spill the beans?
You'll be saying that all after the movie. Why'd you spill your beans, Tommy? It's
Why'd
so
you spill
good.
your beans?
Just spill your beans. That like, but that's the thing is that like the point of this. Willem Dafoe treats it like a retreat. That he's like, we're here as two strangers just to hang out, tell tall tales, drink booze, and take care of this lighthouse. This is fun. And he's at the point where it is fun for him. It's like, I would liken it kind of to like a Boy Scout retreat or something like that.
Yeah.
Where like the adults aren't really doing too much.
But you're doing chores and
but you're learning. That's the point. And like Robert Pattinson just wants a paycheck. He doesn't care about becoming a wiki at all.
Not whatsoever.
He just wants to escape. And we learn he wants to escape from his past. But like ultimately, Willem Dafoe doesn't want that kind of person. He doesn't want someone that has a really bad secret they're trying to run away from and that like doesn't want to be there. He wants to be with someone that is doing a job. They want to do it. They're gonna get paid, and it's just gonna happen.
Willem Dafoe doesn't. Sorry, I'm gonna correct you.
Sure.
Willem Dafoe doesn't want someone who how can I say this? He doesn't care what they're hiding.
Yes.
The whole point is to hide what you're hiding.
Exactly.
You know, and Willem Dafoe does this amazing job with it.
Yeah.
But
how long have we been on this rock?
Yeah. How long have we been like?
Help me recollect.
Yeah. Has it been 5 months? Or no, 5 weeks, 2 days. You know, stuff like that. Where like. And the thing is just he doesn't want something like that. He just wants someone who not only will believe the BS that he's saying, but at the end of the day, never gets to see again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe is like, I'm just literally gonna. This is like you said. I agree. Is a retreat to him, and the other one is like, this is just a job. We should treat it as a job. We should be fair with the job
and professional and all that.
And he's like, no, what are we talking about?
Let's have
and
fun.
then things get turned upside down because like, oh, guess what? As a wiki, he's been logging everything, and he's been completely screwing Robert Pattinson's character over.
Yeah.
Like,
and every one of his predecessors.
Yep.
Yeah. Like no pay,
Exactly.
severance with no pay. Yeah, that whole thing.
Which is like,
That's awful. Come
4
on,
weeks
man.
of that, of all that crap, and
Backbreaking.
you're gonna give me no pay.
Yeah.
Absolutely unacceptable. You know, and like, how many people has he done that to?
Yeah.
You know,
and especially that, like, let's say, you know, the two people part ways or whatever. Like, they never see each other after they hit port, and he goes talks to his boss, whoever he responds to, and be like, yeah, I took care of everything, and this guy did nothing. What the heck? And then and basically just being like severance with no pay.
Yeah, and the only proof that they have is that small little book
Exactly.
that only one person has access to, which makes you agree with Robert Pattinson. Is like, yeah, this is completely unfair.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But then we get to learn a little bit more about good old Robert, good old Winslow. We learn a bit about Winslow and how throughout this entire movie he's been having murderous tendencies because we can clearly tell that as soon as we land on the island, he sees the boat leaving and he regrets everything immediately. Like, you can just tell by his expression.
He's like, I didn't realize this is what it would be.
Yeah, exactly. And before all that, we get to learn that his character murdered his previous boss. You know,
or
from the
coworker
or something. I want to assume that it is someone of higher power.
Yeah.
And we learned that he murdered him. And this is just a scenario where, like, two perfect people meet at the perfect location for this perfect scenario of bloody murder
and misery.
Misery.
Well, especially that and it's assumed that Willem Dafoe killed his last predecessor. So they both basically are there like, who's going to kill them first? Like, legitimately. I think they even say that. He's like, yeah.
And but the thing is you have two different ways of motive, right? Willem Dafoe, if he killed his previous, which it's ambiguous, you know, we don't really know, he must have drove them, right? Where with Robert Pattinson, he doesn't need a drive per se.
Yeah.
He just needs a target, and that target happens to be bosses, as far as we know.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, oh crap. But then we unfortunately land on the whole unreliable narrator, and which you're amazing at. So I'm gonna let you go.
Well, just that I love that when any character has been saying a lot of stuff, and that when you have one reason to doubt them, everything else you can doubt. So same thing with Joker, which we had talked about before. Spoilers. We're still in spoilers, but like that alone, you can't rely on certain things that they say. Certain things, like. Anytime that you hear a little bit of a discord, you're just like, wait, what have they been saying that is true? And you realize that, like, both characters, who knows? Because
they're both liars.
Yeah, they could be. Like, we haven't seen anything on screen that shows what's happening is true. We don't see flashbacks. We see visions. Who knows if that actually happened?
Exactly.
You know, and they both make stories, and it's interesting because because both of them are telling so many stories that you can see that Willem Dafoe does see. He's just like, you would make a good wiki, because he sees in him the same thing. That he's just like, you tell stories too.
Yeah, and you're just making crap up.
Exactly. Yeah, and that like he does, like, it happens. The transformation happens where he does. I think I just heard that one stop.
The camera just stopped.
Oh, great.
Oh no.
Yay.
Hey, Alan here. I hope I'm not interrupting or anything, but while I have your attention, let me invite you to come and check out Breathe, our latest short that we made, I want to say less than 2 weeks, for the Light Dislocation Challenge 2019. We're pretty happy with it, so if you don't mind, come and check us out after the podcast and tell us what you think. And now back to two men talking about two other men stuck in an island. Cool. Let's go like a couple minutes or a couple of seconds before.
Yeah, well, we did say that the camera stopped rolling, so we can.
The camera stopped rolling, so.
Yay! Good.
Where were we?
I don't know. I'm upset now.
I am too.
We had a thing going.
No, we were talking about unreliable narratives and how they're both making crap up and how.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe's character was like genuine about the fact that, like, yeah, you could be a really good wiki because you too, you're just like me.
The same person.
Exactly.
Man, that movie. It's just, it's really crazy how well it you can see what's happening if you pay attention. Something else that I really love is the use of maybe not addiction, but like relief in a way. So you can see that he's relieving himself in the manly sense, but he's also relieving himself with cigarettes. And it can be implied that the more he needs to relieve himself of this tension, the more like murderous tendencies he's getting.
Yeah.
And I have a theory. I haven't rewatched it, but every time he smokes a cigarette, he wants to kill Willem Dafoe. I swear.
Yeah, because he smokes a cigarette when he sees that stupid bird every time, and like
what a vicious scene of him murdering that bird.
Yeah, I was kind of cheering, seriously.
I mean,
because every time that bird would every time the bird would appear is when he's like suffering, and the bird is just laughing at his face.
Yeah.
And speaking about relief, Willem Dafoe does the same thing. Willem Dafoe
he has the lighthouse.
He has the lighthouse, and he has his cooking. His cooking with like all of his alcohol.
So
and
he's
stuff
just completely
like that.
relieved.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
So they're literally two of the same people, but just different generations meet up in this island, and one of them has to go. Yeah. Because for Willem Dafoe's character, there's another thing that we can compare where. Have you ever heard of there's a quote similar to this where like the last one alive is the one who speaks the truth or something like that?
What? I mean, there's one that I know that's like
whoever's left is right.
Yeah, or like history is written by the victors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where like, Willem Dafoe's character, he's the only one who has access to the book, therefore he's the one that's always right.
Yeah.
But with Robert Pattinson's character, he's the only one left alive at a point where you can literally just make whatever you want up. Yeah. He was gonna dig him, and just imagine it's like, I don't know, he disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he literally disappeared, and like, thank God you guys are here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, he could throw him in the water like he threw the last guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And especially that like Willem Dafoe even says that he's like, you came at me with the axe or
he blatantly like either he lies or like maybe it was just an actual figment of his imagination.
And you don't even know.
You don't even know.
He's playing, especially that he just says like, how long have we been on this rock? Like that's when that speech happens. That he's just like, do you know what's happening? Because I can mess with you. You're so. And he even mentions in the beginning is just like everybody got us drunk so that we could be, jolly. He's like, and stupid. And he's like, well, you're drunk now, so who's the stupid one now? Like,
Exactly.
And that like the parallels between the two of them are even more concrete. That there's this sexual mermaid the whole movie.
Yeah.
But then Willem Dafoe has his like kind of sexual octopus up in the. So like they both have their own
Ariel,
like,
Ursula.
vices. There you go, dude. The generations, gross. But the last image that I kind of wanted to remark on is the fact that like after we are revealed what's in the lighthouse, and we see this brilliant light, and it kind of envelops Robert Pattinson, and he's like thrust out. We get this image of Prometheus, and like where he's like laying on the beach and the seagulls are biting at his liver. That's verbatim Prometheus. Prometheus was I don't know if he's a god or like a demigod, that the fire, also symbolizing knowledge, was something that the gods kept, and he took it and he gave it to man, and man was gifted with like intelligence and the light, and by doing that he was cast out from heaven, from the god's paradise, and was strapped to a rock. And a crow, I don't know if it was a crow or a seagull, a bird would come and eat his liver every day, and it would regrow, and they would eat it every day. Yeah, horrific. And that's the thing, is that like he wanted to take that light, and by doing so was cast out, and now he is blinded and is stuck there forever.
Also, the image of Willem Dafoe as Poseidon.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There was this awesome shot where like it was literally like a portrait, where like Willem Dafoe was like, they were both naked, and like Willem Dafoe was like in like a combat pose where it was very like Greek mythology look.
Yeah.
Same thing with Robert Pattinson, and he was like at the receiving end, and like the mermaid was like somewhere in the sky out there and stuff like that. It was just awesome. The visuals itself were great. I was a huge fan of the cinematography. I thought everything being so contrasty was beautiful. Yeah. The camera work was nice and simple. I'm a huge fan of camera movement for a purpose, which they utilized really well. For example, when they walked into the house, and the camera is like literally just following them as they explore. And that's it.
And the lighting, like I was really surprised how well the lighting like went from shadows, and he was still completely lit and like was a silhouette. Like there was no mix of the dark and light.
It was fantastic. Again, the more I talk about it, the more I really like this movie. I just want to know how do you direct something like this?
I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know how you put this on paper. you know? Like, trying to describe any of this to a human being without showing them, I don't understand. Like, if anything, they would maybe have a lookbook. For people that don't know, a lookbook is really just like a file that has all of the kind of images that you want in a film. And so for this one would be like, okay, cool, well, we're going with these lightings, but like, this is the story we kind of want to tell, and here are some guiding images. But like, I don't know if he really had a straight up and down script. And I mean, they probably had a script, but how do you sell this to anybody?
I mean, Willem Dafoe mentions that he's always wanted to work with them.
Yeah, well, but I mean, like
Robert Pattinson, like for something. First of all, this had to have been like a really small budget. It's A24, who's known for. They're known for having really small budgets, but selling out seats everywhere. Yeah, I want to work with them so bad.
Right?
Seriously.
And apparently that was they filmed in Nova Scotia. That island exists. That lighthouse exists. Like, they literally just had access to the island, and every day would ferry their equipment over to the island, shoot.
I mean, like, seriously, their budget is going to camera, tripod. I'm pretty sure they use nothing but natural light again in this one. So maybe some props that they had to be broken and whatnot.
Well, yeah, some of that special effects.
Oh, like, special effects and whatnot. And like, that's really it. So it's like decent talent. Decent crew, decent talent. Like everything is just small and compact. You know,
so good.
The miniatures for a lot of their wide shots is like, that's fantastic. Yeah. And again, I was honestly worried that this was like, because this guy's like second movie. Yeah. Like, almost ever. Wow. And like, after I saw The Witch, I was like, he's probably never gonna make another movie like this again, is he? And here he is back, and he made something fantastic again. Seriously. And
people are calling it a masterpiece, which like.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I legitimately think it's the kind of movie that was so well executed that I can't think of anything that would make it better.
And the reason why you're saying that is because we're saturated with like such, I want to say, like, semi-lowbrow movies nowadays, and this is the one. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of them don't carry a tone. Yeah. Where this one has a direct tone, and it stays on it. Yes. And it does it really well.
And on top of that, like, this movie and we're going to talk about Parasite, that like, they're just so refreshing that you don't get this kind of storytelling. That this one was so abstract, but Parasite just moves. It has its plot and it goes, and we'll talk about that next. But just that, like, it's crazy the fact that like this movie was made, and like, when you watch it, you're having the, I love, and you've mentioned this about Hereditary, I still need to see it, but I really felt like as you're going through the movie, they're dropping jigsaw puzzle pieces. You're putting them down, and then the last one is like a big piece. And then at the very end, where he touches the light, where he kills Willem Dafoe, where he like takes a cigarette after he kills him, where the image of Prometheus, it's a big old piece. And you're just like, I can now see what's happening.
A man poking holes on a paper, and then middle of it, he starts connecting the dots, and you start seeing a shape. Which, by the way, in the credits, you know who was in the special thanks?
Who?
Ari Aster, the director of Hereditary.
Oh my god. Okay, that makes a lot of sense then. Yeah. Man, that's something that I just love about cinema in general, is that a bunch of directors are just friends.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
They reach out to each other. Like Willem Dafoe just reaching out to him, being like, I love your stuff.
It wasn't that. It was the director reached out to Willem Dafoe, and he was like, hey, it's gonna be you, me, Robert Pattinson, you in or out? And he was like, I'm in. And like, that's it, apparently.
That's great.
According to Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just fantastic where they live in their own small little world, and you and I are trying to reach.
Get the light.
I want to reach. Yeah. I want to work with Ari Aster so bad.
I'd love to. Yeah, but thank you guys so much for watching us talk
we
about
have to cut it off.
This insane movie, and like, God, I really hope people see it, like, just for their own enjoyment. Just
watch it for a good old time. Yeah, just watch it.
And it's getting a bunch of awards and stuff, but it's the kind of thing that I don't want people to go see it and think that there's something to it. Like the commercial makes it, or the trailer makes it completely aware that it's like, this is just some weird stuff. Yeah, you know, you gotta know.
At least get ready for a spectacle.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So
what would you give it?
Yeah, what would I give it? Oh no, I would give it, I'm very hard on my stuff. I would give it either an 8.5 or maybe a 9.
Okay.
Probably closer to an 8 or an 8.5.
I agree. I think I want to say I would like to say a high 7.
Oh, really?
And the reason is because I didn't like it at first. It's not that I didn't like it at first, but I was unsure at first.
That's fair.
And I don't think any movie should let me feel that way.
I would say that I subscribe more to the Disney model, that a situation that's made up for is better than a good situation. So you go see a good movie and you're just like, oh, this is good. But if you see a movie that's like, what is happening? And then you finally get it, and like everything else before makes a lot of sense, like Us, like the movie Us.
But it should be within
reason,
within the movie's time span, not afterwards.
That's fair.
Yeah. So that's why I'm feeling that way. But I still enjoy it. Huge recommendation.
What would you give it?
You just said I did.
I'm sorry. I'm just excited.
I gave it 2 freaks out of a Freddy freaker.
And I give it 2.1. I don't know how that converts.
I don't know. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for our talk about the Lighthouse, where
Finished up.
there was like a fish shot.
There was.
That's it. Cut.
Hark! Hark! Triton!